This program is brought to you in association with First National Bank of Botswana.
FNB, how can we help you?
When you're sharing a meal with your family and friends, there tends to be a family favorite drink that the lot gravitates towards. For most, these usually are fizzy drinks, being your Cokes, your Fantas, Sprite and the likes. These beverages are often enjoyed without a single thought of where they come from. Well, really, the general understanding is that they're imported or at best just bottled here. That couldn't be further from the truth. Most of these are not only bottled here, but also manufactured right here in our backyard. As at November 2018, Coca-Cola Beverages Botswana planted roots in the country as one of the Coca-Cola Beverages Africa CCBA subsidiaries. CCBA added one more plant to its footprint on the continent and now has over 15,000 employees across its operations in Africa, with 31 bottling plants in 11 countries, including the one here in Gaborone. What exactly goes into the makings of one of the biggest non-alcoholic ready-to-drink beverages in the entire world? First Issues was lucky enough to be offered a tour of the plant, coupled with a chat with the company's general manager, David Chait, on why Coca-Cola Beverages Africa decided to invest in Botswana, how exactly the drinks are made, and future prospects for growth.
I guess it stems back firstly to a merger that happened back in 2016 or so, when a few of the South African bottlers merged together. So effectively the SAB Miller and SABCO and Shanduka merged and created a CCBA. And as part of SAB Miller at that time were countries that weren't in the stable. Botswana was one of them. So over time, and eventually it happened in 2018, the Coca-Cola business was extracted out of KBL. So previously KBL had been doing the distribution for Coca-Cola in Botswana. So really it was an outcome of that merge. But also, a big point is that CCBA is an anchor bottler for Africa. We've got 14 countries, 40% of Africa's volume comes through CCBA. And countries like Botswana and Zambia came on, are opportunities for the growth to expand its footprint in Africa. And as an anchor bottler, that's definitely one of the things that drives growth for us as a group. And Botswana was a great addition to that stable.
Let us speak to what exactly it is that you do. You speak of being a bottling company, but the perception is that that is all that you do, that you get a ready-made product and then you bottle it. But also speak to the other beverages that you are working with or that you're producing here at your plant.
That's a good question, because in fact people don't realize the Coke system is not necessarily one thing. It's a couple things that work together to create a powerful system. We have the bottling system, and then you have the Coca-Cola company. The Coca-Cola company is what people think of when they think of Coke. They own the brands, the head office is in Atlanta, and effectively their role is they manufacture and sell concentrates, they own the brands, they hold the quality standards, and then around the world you have the bottlers. The bottling companies effectively buy their concentrates from the Coca-Cola company, we bottle it, manufacture it, distribute it, sell it, and handle all the below-the-line marketing. We manufacture Coke, Fanta, Sparlettas, which is your cream sodas, your Iron Brews, Stony, the Pine Nut, Sprite, all on site in both PET and in cans.
The launch of CCBB in 2018, then International Division Managing Director Jacques Vermeulen said, and I quote, "We see a compelling long-term growth opportunity for non-alcoholic ready-to-drink beverages in Botswana." Close quote. So where are these growth opportunities in a country that has been considered limited in terms of growth due to its very small market size?
The population size is 2.4 million. Everyone's looked at it and said, where's the growth coming from? Is the economic growth going to provide the growth we're looking for as a business and pay back the investment that we put in? You know, the great thing is that in the last 3 years, the business has grown substantially. We have a vision of refreshing Africa every day. You know, making the continent a better place is the group vision. And to refresh Africa every day means we need to be perfect on execution. We need to keep the stocks in place. We need to make sure of availability, and we need to really get our customers first in everything we do. We really have focused on really the opportunities in the market first and foremost to grow. And if you take even just last year, we grew 18% just last year. We grew 30% in our first year of operation in Botswana. That's significant growth in the very short time we've been here. And really why? Firstly, it was about getting a bit of the customer trust back in terms of availability and supply. We've got a very constrained site. You know, those two production lines, when it comes to peak season, and peak in Botswana runs really from September all the way through to March. It's really, that time just exponentially grows. We don't cover nearly what the demand of the country has been, and historically hasn't come close to being able to supply the demand of the country. So firstly was, how do we get that demand? You know, how do we actually fill that demand? And a lot of that growth has just been around that. And it's sort of put into focus the importance of planning in a business. And that's really what I think we've done pretty well in the last few years. I mean, obviously not without its issues, nothing's ever perfect, but putting the effort into the planning cycle well in advance of the demand and trying to meet it, I think has delivered a lot of this growth. Making sure that it's available, getting that trust back, and knowing that the customers that we have can rely on us to deliver that volume in peak times for them. Now, I guess it's about where do we go from here. One of the exciting things that is happening at the moment is, okay, so we're only able to deliver a percentage of our demand. From the moment we've been here, it's been obvious that this company in Botswana needs to increase its manufacturing capacity. You know, we've had sign-off. We've got a new production line busy. They're busy putting in the civils at the moment, and the production line will be ready early next year. I mean, that's an investment of over 250 million pula that is in process and will be ready hopefully by the end of Q1 next year. And having that second PET, it's another PET line, will just bring us so much more agility in terms of the products that we can have, because when you've got one line, you know, you're really trying to plan when are the stocks going to go on, when are the products going to go on, and you can, here we've got quite a lot of products that we manufacture on site, and all of them on one production line. So with two production lines, it gives us so much more agility that if we see changes in the market or some customers, then we can flex ourselves so much quicker and meet that future demand.
Let us go back to some of the difficulties that you've alluded to within the business, right? Seeing that everything is not always perfect. Do you care to share some of those with us?
When I spoke about things not being perfect, you know, really we were looking at meeting getting that customer trust that we will deliver, and not having that capacity, and then sort of figuring out, we didn't know, if I'm honest, we didn't know how big Botswana can be in terms of the demand. So when you're trying to plan against an unknown quantity of how big something could be, but you know it's sitting there, you know, then there are growing pains that come with that. You know, we seem to run out of warehouse space every quite often as we're trying to build peak. We're trying to manage the capacity constraints that we've got, but a lot of it is growing pains. We're also a new business. We're a new business. We've been operating now for only 3 years, 2019, 2021, this is our 4th year, which means also we brought over a lot of staff from KBL, but we've also recruited over 200 people, additional people into the business since takeover. And over that time, we're also trying to instill our own corporate culture. We're trying to bring people into the way that CCBA work, which is very different potentially to how other businesses work. And there's a culture change that happens, and change management process that you need to bring people along with you to how things are. And I think we continue working very hard at it. Having a year and a half of COVID didn't help when you have to limit so much just to try and survive.
This is a business that is partially based on using sugar to make some, if not all, of your products. But this is also an ingredient that has been labeled as the leading cause of a myriad of ill health within the global population. So my question to you is, what compelling argument do you think could be made to navigate this negative perception?
As a brand and as a group, we do believe that the health of consumers is very important. It is put first. And we do believe in the WHO guidelines that say no more than 10% of people's energy consumption should be in sugar. So, the word, and it's a buzzword in everything, is moderation. If you're drinking non-alcoholic beverages, it should be in moderation. If you're drinking alcoholic beverages, it should be in moderation. If you're eating fast food or going out to restaurants, there's so much that contributes to people's health more than just sugar. And it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle you have. Are you active? And how do you consume? What do you consume? And it's not just about non-alcoholic drinks. It's not just about sugar. It's about actually your whole lifestyle. But how do we navigate around it? So for years, and this has been going back many years, is as a group and as a brand, as a global brand, we've been pushing and introducing more non-sugar drinks. Coke, no sugar, Fanta, no sugar. And what we've also been doing is actually giving them, even if they might be a small part of the business, we're actually giving them so much more space on the shelves. We're giving them so much more visibility. If you look at marketing promotions that we do, it all involves no sugar, no sugar. So, and this is not something new to the group or to the brand. It's something that we do is to really promote the options that us as a brand owners have around non-sugary drinks, so that we're not forcing anyone to drink anything. They really have options. It doesn't even have to be sparkling beverages. It can be water. And we have all those options for the guys. So in terms of negative sentiment, we know it's there. We accept it, and we accept our responsibility to give people the options that they can balance their lifestyle and what their intakes are.
The production of such large quantities of your beverages is sure to have a lot of wastage, and some of that being water. So what sustainability practices do you have in place to protect the environment?
I don't know if when you drove up past, you saw big green tanks right on the plant by the side of the road, and I think anyone coming up Kubu Road cannot help but not see these big tanks that have been resurrected in the last year. And it was one of the most important parts of us as a group, is how we manage our water. The water usage is a key KPI in terms of the group, in terms of the manufacturing environment. And so part of that is there's water usage, that we don't waste water and just flush it down and it doesn't get used. So it's about minimizing the water we need to produce the products we have and finding creative ways around that. And we are busy with some of that. And for instance, we've put in piping that allows us to actually reuse some of the water from the production into the cooling system, for instance, that we've got, which then it doesn't go down. It's actually creating another use for that water, so it's not lost. That's some projects we've got in place. And those big tanks I was speaking about, so those are wastewater treatment plant tanks. And those we're actually busy commissioning. We expect that within the next 2 months those will be operational, and we're expecting to hopefully have a bit of a fanfare around it. And what that does is make sure that the water we're getting in and the water we're sending out are the same quality. So the water comes in, it gets utilized, but the water that we have to send back, because it hasn't been used and hasn't ended up in a bottle, is as good as the water that we've got in. And we're already looking at how can we use that water for community purposes. There's grey water there, and we're always thinking, okay, so now we've got good water going back in the system, which makes us proud that we're again thinking environmentally, we're thinking sustainability, but also how can we use that water now to help people is something we and my team are working on and thinking about. We have got other projects that we look at water across the country, and one of the, honestly, the most amazing sort of little projects that we had and meaningful, personally for me, was we went to Tsitseng with my PAC manager Tiki, and we went out there, and as a system and with the Coca-Cola, we actually put in water reservoirs in the community and made water available in the communities there. So we're also looking at communities and water and how we can make more availability for them in their homesteads and where they might be. So it's not even just about us and in our plant, it's also about we try and look at the needs out in the communities as well.